I competed in a Jiu-Jitsu tournament yesterday. I took fourth place. I didn't medal. I had three matches. I won my first one and lost the next two. And it was a really interesting experience. I had gone down in age bracket because in my category, I was the only person who signed up. So they gave me options. I could have stayed at my age group and gone up in weight, which they thought was the easier option, which I think is probably true. Or then the next hardest was to stay at my weight and go down in age. So go against younger guys. And I decided that I had already thought that that's what I was going to do. I didn't think I would have multiple options. And so I just stuck with that. And I did think that that was going to be harder, and I wanted to challenge myself. And so I got there, and I couldn't really tell how I was going to perform. And when the matches started, I really was tired psychologically. And I didn't enjoy the first two matches. I won my first match, but I wasn't having fun. I was very tight. And then my second match, I lost. And I was kind of dejected. And then I watched that guy go on to the first place match and beat the guy that he faced significantly by more points than he had beat me. And I didn't feel as bad after that because I realized that that guy was legitimately good. And I had actually given him a pretty good match. And then I had my third place match, and we were fairly even. I think that he was beating me by points. And then towards the end of the match, I had an opportunity. He turned his back to me, and I jumped on his back and squeezed his face. Like, it wasn't a choke. I basically was crushing his face. And he screamed. And as soon as he screamed, I let go. And I let go for two reasons. One, I let go because, well, yeah, for two reasons. One, I had heard that if someone screams in a match, that's the equivalent of tapping or submitting. So I thought, okay, that's a submission. And quite frankly, I was thrilled because I wanted the match to be over. And also, I didn't want to hurt the guy. And in practice, if something like that happened, I would let go immediately. So that was my conditioning. So I let go. And the referee, I don't know if he didn't hear the scream or just didn't consider it to be a submission. He said, no, keep going. And then the guy turned around and basically got into an equal position with me. I didn't get any points for getting on the guy's back because I wasn't on there long enough. And he ended up winning. So I would have had to win that match to get a medal. And so after the tournament, I was looking for takeaways. And my biggest takeaway is that I want to find a way to let myself relax. Because in the first two matches, I wanted to win. And that was my primary concern. Or actually, what it was, more than wanting to win, was not wanting to lose. And so I was tight. I wasn't enjoying myself. And I was even telling myself, I don't want to be here. And I think that mentality had started before the tournament. I didn't want to lose so much that I had already mentally exhausted myself. So then in the third match, I allowed myself to relax a little bit, still not as much as I would like to. But for the first time in the tournament, I started to move more naturally. I started to smile a little bit. I started to enjoy myself a little bit. And it felt more like a practice role than a tournament. And I really want to lean into that. So that was the biggest takeaway that I got, that I'm not at my best if I'm afraid to lose. I'm not at my best if I'm tight. And so I want to get better at giving myself permission to loosen up, to take more risk, even if it means putting myself in worse positions. I just want to be able to relax and enjoy myself, and that's how I'm going to have fun. That's how I'll have more energy and a better chance of winning. So that was the biggest lesson. And then the other part that really surprised me pleasantly was just how much I enjoyed talking to the other competitors after the matches. Because when it's all said and done, we were all kind of just buddies. We just had fought each other in a cool way. Nobody's a bad person. Nobody's trying to hurt each other. We're just trying to be the best people we can be. And so we had a nice bonding conversation afterwards. I congratulated everybody. Everybody was really friendly. And that was a really cool part of the experience. So it just kind of helped me put it into perspective. Like, this stuff isn't that important. It is important, but it's not about, oh, I won, I'm a bad person, I mean, a good person, or I lost, I'm a bad person. It's important because we can do it. I can compete, and therefore that's something to be grateful for and to take advantage of. And the lessons to be learned about myself through competing, which are not as available in just regular training, that's really why I do it. So I think those are the takeaways. I don't feel bad that I didn't get a medal. I wasn't down. I'm proud of myself for competing. I actually think I fared pretty well. Like, I competed pretty well. The result doesn't show it, but I actually think there were 5 guys in my category. I think I was probably the second best guy, because the guy who took second lost to the guy who took first by more points than I did. And I think if I were at my best, I could give that guy a good run for his money, the guy who took first. Maybe I still wouldn't beat him, but I think I would have made it closer. So anyway, the other thing I think is there were no submissions that I saw in my group. Everybody either won or lost by points. So we were all actually pretty even. It was the best. It was the biggest group I've fought in so far. It was the best skill-wise. So across the board, we were actually pretty close to each other, which is also encouraging. The competition got better. So I didn't do as well relative to the competition, but I was facing tougher competition. And also, I didn't have to face that tougher competition. I could have taken the opportunity, because there was nobody in my natural category, to say, oh, I'm just not going to fight, which some people would have done. And I elected to fight, and I elected to fight, in the toughest circumstances that I could. And so I think that's something to be proud of. And then there are the lessons of what I can do better. And the main thing is give myself permission to relax and not be afraid to lose.